Ladies and gentlemen, it's with renewed pleasure that we welcome you to today's edition of Press Hour. Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American essayist, philosopher, and poet, said, I quote, "Nothing can bring peace to you but yourself." I take it all over. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. End of quotes. If you are amongst those who say the situation of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is not getting better by the day, then we are afraid your prayer and wish is for it not to come to an end. For whatever reason you are holding on to the crisis, the people, our people, we need peace. And it is on that premise that we have come up with a topic today on Press Hour to question what is the peace plan for the Northwest-Southwest crisis. We know we have individual efforts, and that we have a lot of it. We know we have organization and group efforts to achieve peace in the Northwest and Southwest. We have community initiative to achieve peace in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. What is the plan, special plan for peace in Cameroon, especially in the Northwest and Southwest regions? That is what we're going to look at today on Press Hour. I am Kilian Ndandifon in Yaoundé. Stay tuned. The crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon has stayed. We are in the 8th year as we speak. What is happening? The situation is getting better. That's the best we can say. You can't say something else. But the crisis hasn't ended. We are questioning what is the peace plan. And to talk about this, we have people on the set today who have individual, group, and community initiative they've been carrying out to end the crisis. And I'm going to introduce you Dr. Zenjiwo Mbongulo Wondia. You are the Executive Director of Women for Change Organization. Welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having me here.
Pleasure is shared. What exactly is your organization doing, Women for Change, in relation to what's happening in Northwest Southwest?
Yeah, so Women for Change is a feminist advocacy organization. We work at the intersection of health, gender, and peace and security. So we are also part of the National Women's Convention for Peace in Cameroon, where as part of the National Women's Convention, we've held simulation exercise to show that peace is possible in this country. And also we did lamentation campaigns, and we've carried out a lot of, corridor forms of advocacy and diplomacy negotiations to see that, the ongoing crisis could come to an end. We understand also that, peace building processes take time in a way that you need short-term programs as well as you need long-term programs.
Thank you. You're going to give us the details of all these things that you've been doing, and I trust you're going to continue to do them for peace to return to the Northwest and Southwest regions of our country. Now, permit me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce Senator Henry Francis Abi, who is the national coordinator. Well, he's the coordinator of the Northwest-Southwest Peace Movement for Cessation of Violence. Senator, there's something, before I welcome you, I must say. At one point here on this set, you said you were talking to the separatist fighters, and people were taken aback because they didn't know that someone could be communicating with them. You've come a long way, and is bearing fruit. Welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here today.
So you have been communicating with them and they are listening to you.
I think that was one of the best strategies. If you want to make peace, then you must communicate. You must talk. And you will not be talking to your friends. You must talk to the enemy. So it was but normal that we must talk to them. and put some sense in their heads.
Now,
and that has been yielding a lot of fruits.
A lot of fruit, ladies and gentlemen. In this program, you are going to see what he has done. He has brought out so many separatist fighters from the bushes, as we usually say, and they are in our society. Just watch, you're going to see the magic of dialogue that he has been using. Now, Benedict Ndiwa is a journalist, corporate communicator, and a lead from Cambe. You're welcome, Benedict.
Thank you very much, Kilian. Greetings to the millions of televiewers of press spread across the world. It's a great pleasure to be on this set today, Sunday.
Nkambe especially has been cited over these 8 years or 7 years and some time as the oasis of peace in the Northwest. It is no longer actually the case. In one phrase, what's happening?
It's true that when it's going towards the right direction, not everybody is very comfortable with it. And in situations like this, you remember that we had an explosion on the 11th of February when pupils came out en masse to celebrate Youth Day. And following that incident, we've had a couple of other cases of kidnappings and the others. And these are enemies of what people have come to call the Nkambe phenomenon, because today on the media, for example, each time there is a national event, media houses want to get pictures from Nkambe to see how effective celebrations were.
That is what we have been doing here on CRTV. That is exactly. You're going to give us details of this and tell us as a community what you are doing to come back to your situation before the unfortunate incidents that we have heard of late have come in. You are going to tell us what community is doing to make sure that there is peace as we have known it in Cambe and by extension the environs. Charles Ibune is a senior journalist. He's also an international affairs editor. Charles, you're welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much, Kilian, and I'm extremely glad to be on Press Hour. Roughly more than 3 years I've not been here, so it is renewed pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Charles. Those who know him know that he does not mince his words. He is straight, and he is that type of person that you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time that we go to review the newspapers, what they fed on in the week that just ended. And Emmanuel Avemni read the newspapers for Press Hour. Watch this.
Rumors on the health of the head of state, President Paul Biya, caught the attention of newspapers this week. Fantastic speculation on Biya's health and whereabouts headlines the media. Cameroon Tribune describes the rumors as pure fantasy. To The Voice, it is Biya's second fake death, 20 years after the first. And as the Guardian Post thinks Biya's whereabouts unknown, Municipal Updates cues in Biya in Geneva and doing well. Before Cameroon Insider reaffirms information from government and the civil cabinet that President Paul Biya is in excellent state of health. The Guardian Post then presents the faces of those it writes they killed rumor that killed Biya. Just when Cameroon Tribune says it is manipulation at its highest level, UDP Chairman Elhaj Lawan Bako condemns authors of fake news in The Horizon, then calls for vigilance in The Voice. Before Minad boss, Paula Tanganji bans media debates on Biya's health in The Guardian Post. Happening at a time Akere Muna vows 2025 presidential election won't be like others in The Guardian Post, as he swings into action in The Horizon, outlining vision set on 8 pillars. What The Voice sees as Akere Muna's blueprint for a new Cameroon. The Median writes Akere Muna, my vision for Cameroon. Cameroon's Prime Minister is then announced at the Hamburg conference in Breaking News Bileng and Cameroon Tribune. As Municipal Updates reports that Bia's envoy Dion Gute has joined world leaders to chart sustainable development, the Guardian Post joins in that at the German conference, PM and others sought solutions to socio-ecological challenges. Challenges like the urgency of fixing the problem of poor quality telecommunication services in Cameroon as carried by Cameroon Insider, especially as government is putting pressure on operators in Cameroon Tribune. Newswatch thinks that Chinese investment in Cameroon conceal a debt trap as China is Cameroon's leading creditor, surpassing the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Then the African Development Bank approves 2.2 billion CFA francs for Nguti Rural Roads project in the median, before the European Union terminates timber agreements with Cameroon in the horizon. The Fawn and population in Du subdivision reportedly blocked traffic over Fulani armed conflict in the pilot, just when Cambe denounces attacks on its peace and national promoters in the Guardian Post. Municipal Updates says Nkambe population denounce blackmail of elite and renew support to Biya. As 4 brutal killings in a week shake northwest in Cameroon Insider, 15 perish in tragic road accident on Saint-Milima-Yaoundé axis in the horizon. A Catholic priest cold-blooded murder in Yaoundé sparks outrage in Cameroon Insider. Shot at close range multiple times by attackers in Volier, Father Christophe Komla of Yagua Parish was said to be on his way to Italy for further studies. Southwest Governor then gives ultimatum to Idabato population to produce deal in 72 hours. In Municipal Updates, the Guardian Post takes the cue to specify that all socio-economic activities will be shut down in the locality where 95% of residents are Nigerians. The Lions are reported ready to roar in Cameroon Tribune as Cameroon versus Kenya match counting for the 2025 AFCON qualifier is set in Cameroon Insider, and Lions sharpen claws in a den said to be serene in Cameroon Tribune. Until I come your way again, this is your hour with the press, and those were the papers for you.
Thank you very much, Emanuela Vemnu. Ladies and gentlemen, you followed what the newspapers fed on in the week that just ended. And our topic today on Press Hour is Northwest-Southwest crisis. What is the peace plan? Is there a peace plan, particular peace plan for the Northwest-Southwest region? But we're going, first of all, to look at violence, look at lack of peace in the Northwest, and see figures, international figures, that condemn that. Before we get the first feed, let me just ask you, as I said earlier, beginning with you, Senator Engwe, the situation is getting better, no doubt. Anyone who says it's not getting better, to my reading, as I suggested, we should interpret it as wishing that it should not end. Your take?
Well, it's true the situation is getting better. And there are still pockets of violence in some areas, which I do believe that continuous talking and discussing with these boys, it will take us to a certain level. But my worry is the commitment. You know, we need to all get involved in this and get strategies from case studies, you know, where there was success, we use that maybe to cut and paste somewhere and see how far it can go. Because right on the ground, like what is happening with Ikum, the population, which I will congratulate so much for the achievement of the 7 that we brought out and handed to the administration. We worked, everybody in Widikum worked for that. The administration was fully involved, and I congratulate the divisional officer for Widikum and his état-majors.
We're going to come to that. We'll talk about that fully.
Okay.
Yes, and we have images of what you did in that place.
Okay.
Now, we're going around. Doctor, Zone, the situation actually is not what we had 5-6 years ago. Why? What particularly is your organization, Women for Change, doing?
Yeah, for sure, I do agree with you, because for sure, in situation of any crisis, there is always that desire for peace, and people definitely will work towards seeing that peace is retained. And like what Senator said, there is need for a comprehensive approach towards building peace. And I'm really happy to hear that, the situation in Cambe has adopted a more holistic approach where the people, the community, because this is all about the people, and the people have to be involved. And at the level of Women for a Change, and working also being part of the National Women's Convention for peace building in Cameroon, we have been very intentional, and also very our act has always been, you have to be inclusive. We need an inclusive approach. You cannot talk about peace where half of the populations are not part of that discussion. The population which are most affected are not part of that discussion. That is why the National Women's Convention held a simulation exercise to just present to the Cameroonian public what does peace looks like from the lens of a Cameroonian woman. So those are some of the works that we've been doing to advocate, to present, to speak against the violence, and also ensure that whatever measures that is put in place, it has to be comprehensive. It has to take into consideration the both parties. We have to be honest. We have to be intentional. We have to really mean what we say.
Exactly. Now, let me just ask you. He went to the bush and brought out some of them. The conferences and other fora you've been having, do you have them in national and regional capitals, or have you been meeting the real communities, the actors you're talking about?
We are part of that communities. We live in a community that is affected by armed conflict. So we are not talking about.
Yaoundé?
I don't live in Yaoundé.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't live in Yaoundé. I live in Boya, and I'm part of the community that is affected by the conflict.
Very much so.
Yeah, so that's why I keep saying that we cannot be coming up with a peace plan, whereas the people who are concerned are not part of the conversation. It has to be holistic. And I bet you the women have done a lot. Don't forget that the women were the first to carry out a humanitarian intervention in 2017 when the crisis was at its peak. The women took the courage and went into the reddest of the zones and did a humanitarian intervention. Don't also forget that the women did a lamentation campaign when nobody could dare even talk about the issue. But they went out and they sat on the street and they cried and cried and cried. I just want to say, you know what? The peace process so far has had a series of efforts which has all geared towards peace. But we have to make sure that we have a critical mass, and women have led those processes. Women have been able to manage crisis in their home. Women have been able to manage crisis in the community. And I think if we look at it from a lens of the woman who is directly connected and lives that effect of the crisis, we are going to go a long way in solving the crisis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zone. Benedict Ndingwa, thank you for that correction. They've talked about Cambe. Cambe, you are an elite on Cambe. The situation in Cambe, you started talking to us about in Cambe. Cambe has been, as we said earlier, the oasis of peace in a turbulent northwest-southwest region. Well, we also had areas in the southwest. We had Bangem. Recently now we have Tingto, Upper Tingto. Charles, you accept with me. I'm told that the community there too have made it. Community action has made it in such a way that you can leave Yaoundé as a stranger, go and leave there, come back. You will only probably have problems on your way. But once you are in these communities, because of community efforts, you are safe. Now your own community has been saved. Very safe to live in. Recently, what is happening in Cambe, and what are the efforts that you are putting in place to make sure the contamination is not total?
Thank you very much, Kilian. Before we talk about the situation right now, it's important to take us back to how, from the genesis of the crisis, when the whole thing broke out, our leaders and the traditional rulers, under the auspices of the Fawn of Nkambe, then from Ibrahim Jibu, did a whole lot of sensitization of our people to make them understand what they have lived in the hands of the other politicians for close to 2 decades, and what Nkambe as a subdivision looked like within those 20 years. And now some unknown people are coming to tell you that they are bringing you El Dorado when you don't know them. And our people began to understand. And they cited them to our people. The need for the kids to go to school. Because Nkambe has been victim of political leaders who never did formal education, ruling them, and we know the fruits they produced. All of this, the people are not fools. And they began to see with them. That's why the plan works with our people, because they saw reason. They see the need for their children to be educated so that they take their responsibilities into their hands. You would see how...
and we have actually had some images from Kambe repeatedly where we had full attendance in schools. Yes, continue.
That is, those are the fruits of community engagement. Like Doctor said, you can't clamor for peace without the people who live the day-to-day situation. They themselves were raised into their own gendarmes, such that people don't infiltrate them to wreak violence. People don't infiltrate them to cause havoc.
Then what happened suddenly?
Like I said in my opening statement, when the going is good, you have people within who, for interests best known to them, would want to turn the tides so that it gives another impression. Yes, we are in a republic. We are also into politics. People have ambitions which are legitimate.
What is said by some critics is that there are infighting within the leadership in Kambe, and some people, especially from there, are trying to disrupt. So, and some of the elected officials there have been tagged as collaborating with armed groups to kidnap people. So what you are from there,
Yes.
You were there recently.
Yeah.
What is the reading? What is coming out from there concerning this type of accusations?
2 things which I need to make very clear. There is no infighting within our political cycle in Kambe. Kambe is the divisional headquarters of the Donga Mantung division. And for the CPDM party, there is a structure called the Permanent Divisional Delegation, which is led by former Minister Shea Jones Yembe, who has been masterly coordinating his younger brothers and sisters on inculcating in them the values of working together, because when you work together, you can achieve a lot. And today, people are surprised.
Was he doing that only to his CPD comrades or to everybody?
I'm coming. You begin.
I thought you would talk about not party, but you will talk about Kambe people.
Permit me develop. And
the laws of association authorize them to function from a party basis before going to other areas.
Absolutely. You begin charity from your home.
Okay, go ahead.
Because you can't leave a scattered home and go struggling to gather people in the church. And what is marveling people so much is the level of unity among them. You see the parliamentarian from Kambe, Honorable Gerard Ngala, and the mayor from Kambe, Shea Musamfo, who have understood their roles so well under the leadership of the permanent divisional coordinator. The parliamentarian knows that he works in Yaoundé in parliament to vote laws. He knows how to open doors, lobby for projects. The mayor is in Kambe. He is one of the few who lives in his community with his people. He knows his role is to implement these projects. He knows he has to engage his people
not only to implement the project, but to be part of the project, so that you don't only implement and stay at that, but they implement and ensure the sustainability of the projects. And this is what is not common elsewhere. It's not common in many places. Senator here is my big brother. We are of the same political angle, and he knows what I'm talking about.
Okay. Now, thank you. I'm going to ask you when I come back to you what you are doing to make sure that you regain the peace situation you had before what you have now. Yes, Charles has really been impatient. I agree. Charles, violence. You react to what they are saying, and then you tell us exactly.
You know, my job as a journalist is to feed the policymakers with correct information based on context, which they are. Let me take two sectors of life in the Northwest and Southwest, and since you talked of a peace plan. Education first. Let us all agree that the first lessons of what is today modern Cameroon in a formal education setting was in 1844 in an area called Bimbia, 180 years ago today, by Joseph Merrick of the London Baptist Missionary Society. Mm-hmm. The first secondary education in Cameroon was constructed by the Roman Catholic Mill Hill Mission in 1939, Sase, and produced amongst the illustrious sons of the country, former Prime Minister, today the chair of the Bilingualism Commission, Peter Mafanyi Musonge. The second secondary school of what is today Cameroon is the Cameroon Protestant College, Bali, 1949, and has produced amongst illustrious sons and daughters the current president of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. So I just limit myself there.
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
So if you say that,
mm-hmm.
if you say that for the past 8 years, children don't go to school in the Northwest and Southwest, it means that the soul and crown of the foundation of education in this country is attacked. It becomes a national security issue in need of a peace plan, which you talked about. Let me talk about spirituality to move to violence.
Yes, that from education you are going to
spirituality. I'm talking about church belief. The first Roman Catholic officials came to Cameroon in 1890, Marie Mbek, where they opened a station. And the second Roman Catholic missionary station in Cameroon was in Bojongo in 1894. And let me fast forward to 1950, April 18, where the Apostolic Vicariate of Boya was raised to a diocese from Onitsha. To say that Boya became the first...
Onitsha in Nigeria.
Absolutely. To say that Boya became the first diocese of what is today Cameroon. So you will now understand why the Pope is worried that children are not going to school, because the backyard of education in this part of the country was basically missionary. Having said that,
yes,
having said that, the peace efforts made since 2017 or from 2016 to 2024, where we are today, has been built on three angles. One, a government-led initiative. Two, a civil society mount initiative, where you find all the associations. And finally, the impact of the diplomatic community. And we all agree with all these people that violence in the Northwest and Southwest, like in any other part of the country, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is unacceptable. Having said that, I congratulate the job that has been done by the people of Nkambe, by the people of Manfe, by the government, led by the President of the Republic, with all the institutions that have been carried out.
Thank you very much, Ibune, for those figures. You have them offhand. You can cite that is something to appreciate, to praise you for. But now you've talked about religion, you've talked about diplomacy. We still have memories of the outing. You talked about the Pope, that the Apostolic Nuncio to Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea passed as message. We have an excerpt of it here, condemning violence and propagating peace. So let us watch what he said as the Pope's envoy to Cameroon, and then we'll comment after that.
Peace and greetings from the Apostolic Nunciature. I am the Apostolic Nuncio in Cameroon, Pope Francis's representative amongst you. Cameroon has become my home and my passion. A temporary exhibit here features Cameroonian children's wishes for peace. This photographic exhibition was produced by the Piarist Fathers with photographer Emily Pina. One child, by the name of Peter, even says, "Living in peace feels good, just to wake up and go to school without fear." He was prevented from going to school because of violence. Our children are our future. Children suffer the most when there is violence. According to UNESCO, over 250 million children worldwide are prevented from attending school because of conflicts and violence. According to the World Bank, over 17,500 children in Cameroon are prevented from attending school, primarily in the regions of the Northwest, Southwest, and far north. Millions of children's futures are destroyed. Violence is never justified. Violence comes from evil. Peace, and only peace, comes from God.
Yes, we just have to accept that. That is not something to talk about as if we're going to raise it for matters of debate. But we will have another excerpt by a diplomat. Before we go, Dr. Zone, when you hear that is a cry from the Pope through the Apostolic Nuncio, that also is what you've been applying on the field.
Definitely. Education is fundamental. We have seen the power of education. We've seen how an educated person, does not only have effects on themselves, but also to the family, the community, and the world at large. And I think as colleague Charles Ebune talked, he talked about the power of education, how, we've had the Prime Minister who was an alumni from some of these great institutions. And I was touched when, the nuncio talked about, rephrased what one of the kids said, Peter, it just feels good to wake up in the morning and then go to school without fear. And we're talking about, just imagine looking at Peter. I think Peter should not be up to 10 years old. That is traumatic for Peter to grow up knowing that going to school, it's...
You need to look left and right before wearing your uniform,
It's scary, and imagine that on so many of the kids living in the affected region, the trauma that they would grow up with, and how are we prepared to heal that, to make sure that they have that complete healing, that complete forgetfulness, because it's something that would never be forgotten.
Thank you very much. And that interview was done for us by Charles Ebune, who is here on the set, and he also talked to the American ambassador to Cameroon, who condemns violence and tells us that those who are teleguiding the violence must stop in the United States and where they can get to. Charles also talked to him, and this is what he had to say.
One of the issues when it comes to the Northwest and Southwest equally, and I've heard this conversation from several people, they say that there is a portion of the Cameroonian diaspora living in the United States of America foiling all of this, and Yaoundé says that from time to time she has written to Washington to have these people liberated, that she qualifies terrorists, creating chaos, and that they even go against the rules and regulations of the U.S. Patriot Act of 2001, and which you know clearly better than I do. How do you respond to such comments when you look at what they do on social media, for example, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, which are basically American companies?
So I have seen a lot of the videos that you're referring to, and I am very troubled by, and we all should be troubled by, videos where people are calling for violence, where people are suggesting that killing students and preventing them from going to school is somehow a valid approach to resolving underlying social concerns. It isn't, and it never will be. The people in the diaspora, be they in the United States or elsewhere, who have been calling over the past several years for violence, need to stop. There's no question about that. This is what I was saying a minute ago. Violence is not the answer. Violence is never going to be the answer. People need to have a peaceful conversation. Those who are encouraging attacks on schools, the burning of hospitals, the shooting of people who violate these imposed regulations by the non-state armed groups, those calls for violence just need to stop.
Yes, that violence has to stop. That's the way the American ambassador to Cameroon has ended. So many of those propagating the violence in America have been arrested. Some of them are serving prison terms. And we want also to appreciate the efforts. I said we have individuals, we have groups, we have community. Emmanuel Salai is doing so much that way, to that effect. And recently we had an arrest, one of the most important arrests in Norway. And we hope it's going to continue. Charles, thank you for those interviews. And we have now the position of the church, that is, we have the position of the all-powerful America, determined to make sure that nobody nowhere in the world commands others to perpetrate violence. Now, just briefly, Charles.
Yes.
Then we come back to,
Absolutely.
because we don't have time, we come back to what individuals, communities.
Sure.
Yes.
I think, like I said earlier, today, the football to end conflict in the Northwest and Southwest, the ball is in the hands of Cameroonians entirely, because they cannot say the diplomatic community did not support them. No foreign entity has ever backed violence in the Northwest and Southwest, and there are plenipotentiaries present in Cameroon have expressed that in and out of this country. So, to summarize, all what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest today, and even the far North, it is entirely the responsibility of Cameroonians, be it government officials, be it individuals, be it community-based organizations, be it whatsoever spiritual traditional authorities. But let me add that there is one thing that we need to solve in the Northwest and Southwest. And one thing we need to solve is we must do by all means restore the destroyed authority of our very revered traditional authorities. And I end with this image.
Yes.
In 1954, when Queen Elizabeth was in Nigeria and a delegation of Southern Cameroonians had to visit to greet her, the fun of Nso refused to shake hands with Queen Elizabeth because the traditions of the Northwest do not authorize you to shake a hand with the fawn. I wonder where people had the courage to even arrest the fawn of Nso, to even attack Kadinatumi. Some of us who grew in that environment will never imagine that such things could ever happen. We need to restore the authority of our traditional authorities.
Thank you very much for saying that and saying it the best way imaginable, Charles. You know, I started this program by this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American essayist, philosopher, and poet. Nothing can bring peace to you but yourself. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. And now I'm coming to the communities. Where we have peace in Cameroon is more from the communities. Yes. Your case in Cambe, what are you doing to restore what you are about to lose, that peace, to consolidate your achievement?
Great. Before I answer your question, you asked about our elected officials
accused.
Not
only quarreling,
accused
but
of running
to eliminate each other
colluding with armed groups to kidnap.
for political gains.
Yeah.
Good. I think it's very important for me to come back to that question, so that we clear the air once for all. A few weeks back, a lawyer held a press briefing here in Yaoundé, asking that the National Assembly president strips off the immunity of Honorable Ngala so that he faces justice because himself and the mayor of Nkambe own a militia group that kidnaps people in Nkambe. The people of Nkambe stood up and said, this is outright disrespect for them as a community. This is unacceptable that people whose credibility is not only doubted, but they don't have any records anywhere as respectable lawyers who can stand up to say they are fighting for a community. We as a people in Nkambe have lawyers and people who can best defend us. And our question is, if these two gentlemen are perpetrators of such acts, there is no case anywhere with the Justice Department against them, no accusations. So from where is this whole thing coming from? This answers your question when you asked why the pockets of violence since February to now.
Yes.
The whole idea was to discredit Nkambe, destabilize the community so that schools don't resume effectively on September 9.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
we beat them in this whole game.
Sure.
Because you have pictures from Nkambe on September 9. The administrative authorities personally went down with the blessings of the traditional authorities. The Fort of Nkambe accompanied them to go down the field. You saw the figures. First week of school's resumption in the entire Northwest, Nkambe was first, with the entire division of Dongamatu was first.
Now, thank you. We're going to leave you, but just answer my question. You've not answered. What are you doing now as a community to make sure that these people you describe don't want to disrupt your peace? What are you doing to gain back what you had?
We continue concerted action. We intensify sensitization. When you look at the images of the peaceful walk, peaceful march, which our people led 2 weeks ago to the senior divisional officer for Dongamantu, to give us on a very strong message to the head of state through the SDO that this whole blackmail against their elected officials should stop, because they are the ones who have been fighting to preserve peace, development, and social cohesion
I'm afraid we'll leave it
within
there.
the community.
Yeah, thank you. I'm afraid we'll leave it there. You will not talk about the vigilante groups that were acting there before, that you don't have. We will have time, we'll come back to you.
We need to come back there.
Yes, we have another person who, as an individual, has done so much. Senator Enwe Francis from Momo. I said it here before, you surprised people here when no one wanted to associate with the separatist fighters. You came here and told the world that you had their numbers, they had your numbers. And you have been consistent. And you have been doing certain things that we want to let some other people see. Before you even come in, let us see what you did. You brought out some of these separatist fighters from the bush. Let us look at one of those videos that you had. I think this is telling.
When I don't come out, come carry on a hand up, surrender. Now, thing way I be wanting for all when I for do. As when I don't come, so when I don't be free, I go save one. I will take one today. I'm not going to leave when I made them up. I'll get the keep on of a brigade. I'd go when I all for Bamenda today. I'll go hand when I go on tomorrow morning. Huh? Or una governor Yan. When I will stay fine for DDR, they will take una go hospital. They will check all una, give una medicine them. Huh? They will treat any people who is sick. They will put una for school. They will train when I was on good handwork. I know that I'm going to stay there plenty. Immediately when I do that training finish, they will give una capital when I can start with a life. Not be so. I think let us have this picture.
Wow, we allowed that in that lingua franca, in that language, the pidgin, because our intention is for other communities, for other leaders like you to see what is happening. Some of these people we are talking to them, they should see how it is happening in some communities. And somebody said here that where it is working, we can copy and paste where it is not working, because our aim is to have peace. Now, tell us exactly how you managed to bring these fighters out, and whether, as you said in that video, you have taken them directly to the governor.
Well, in fact, it was not an easy task to get 7 at the same time, because before we have removed many individually and then make the arrangements and send them to DDR with no noise. But
Yes,
this one happened.
DDR is the National Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee.
Exactly. So this one happened because
whose head in Cameroon is Mr.
Faye Yengo, who is doing a wonderful job. Doing a wonderful job. Yeah. And I think actually the last minutes when we got them, we had to talk with him, and he took measures immediately. How it started was continuous communication with them and assuring them of their security after coming out. Some of them took many months, and we had some situations where the first ones that came out sometimes delayed at the brigade in Widikum because we wanted safe transport to take them to Bamenda. So people now turned it and, were accusing us of having arrested them and locked them, and were deceiving people that were sending them out. So that information went out, and the rest were scared to come. So assuring these ones, I told them, this time don't be afraid. I will personally be in Widikum. You will come out, I will take you myself to Bamenda. So none of you will sleep in Widikum for a day. And we work together with everybody. With the funds, the youths, bike riders, everybody was involved in this. I passed through some of their relatives, tried to find out who is the best friend. And then you talk to. All of them are married. There's one of them with 7 children.
Incredible.
You pass through the wives even and talk privately to them, try to even send pictures of others that have been killed in some places.
And we must say there are some of them who are in the bush, they don't know how to come out.
They don't know how to come out.
Because coming out is not as easy as that.
Yeah.
So what we are saying is that they should contact you or some other people who are working like you and leave those bushes, come back to
We come back, they will come out. I work with the administration of Widikum. The duo who is in Widikum there is like somebody carrying a Bible every day. He talks even with them and assured them to come out, but they didn't trust. No, they're still afraid that something, because of what the atrocities they had caused, they were afraid to really come. Until when I said, okay, I'll be in Widikum on this day. Any child that is coming out on that day, I'll take you out. And that is the results. The population was surprised during this ceremony to just see them popping in from somewhere, because I had to send bike riders who went to carry them where they were, and then just brought them straight to the stadium, to the grandstand, and handed to me.
When next are you going for another?
For the next catch.
Yes.
This hunting is a bit tough. I need to rest. You know, it took many months for me to get to this
Becomes a
level.
national
I'm tired.
security
I'm really stressed
agenda
out.
because
No,
this
you
is a
cannot, you cannot start it well and then you are tired.
It was, no, the pressure is too much. But we're still strategizing. We must complete the job. The few ones that are there, I send them the
The
message.
senator is a member of the upper house. His travels is a national security issue.
I sent a message to them, and while I was in my house that was burnt, I wept like a baby. And then I sent a message from the spot with everybody to their leader who burnt the house. And I told him, I've been talking with you, you don't want to understand. I give you 2 weeks from today. Put down your guns, or the next choice will be yours. He started calling me yesterday, but not showing indication that he's coming out. Only calling, Pa, good morning.
And then you say you want to stop?
And he doesn't want to
You want to
land.
rest?
So I will continue gradually, and I'm
Yes.
sure the next catch will be a bigger one.
You want to give your number here or you give it?
I can give it here to any Amber. Feel free to call me.
Yes, give.
675925978. But not fake Ambers, please.
Yes.
Not fake people.
Well,
Because
we'll
all
get
type
them.
of people will start calling to.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
to dupe you.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for that work you are doing.
But I thank Widikum community. I thank everybody for this job. It's not only me. I went just to finalize at that stage and then handed them to the administration yesterday at the governor's office in Bamenda.
Yes.
They are well placed. They are well settled now. I even called to talk to them that I'm already in Yaoundé. I'll be keeping in touch to find out how you are faring at the DDR.
Now,
And each time I'll go to Bamenda, I must visit them at the DDR and see how they are progressing.
Thank you very much. Those are individual and community organization actions that are working. Now we are going to use the 7 minutes we have left to propose what we think can be a peace plan for Northwest Southwest. Dr. Zone, I begin with you.
Okay, thank you. I think I will just cue on from what Senator said. The issue of monitoring, because he talked about, the whole process, but then I loved how he ended it with monitoring, because it's very, very important. People need to be accountable, actions. There have been so many actions taken, and all of that have had effect towards building peace. But then we have to also have, the mechanism to monitor and see that the processes, people are actually implementing these actions that they made commitments to. So for me, that is one. Two, again, I will still come back to the fact that we've also heard, everybody have shared here, you've seen the power of collective work. Yes. Peace building is not just one person's mandate, it's everybody's mandate. And with the collective effort, we see how that expedites the processes, and that also, builds that community safety. I think that's the second item in terms of, the plan, which I believe that exists already. There is already a plan. It's just the intent to implement that plan, which is the problem. And the second also is, the approach in which the plan is being implemented. That is the problem. So I would just say two things to add to the discussion. One, the monitoring effect. Then the two issue is making sure that we are intentional in building a comprehensive plan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zone. Yes, Dima. Benedict.
As a proposal, I think I'd want to suggest that the elite of the various communities should be more united. These communities, these children of ours who are in the bushes, some of them, is effect of frustration. The communities, all they need is gainful employment. They need access to social amenities. And the elite are here in Yaoundé. They have access to people who matter, who can assist them, accompany them, achieve these things. The solidarity within government enables them achieve these things without any problem. And the connection between the elite and their base is very important. It's good to keep in touch with them so that you don't only talk on television about peace, because peace doesn't exist in a vacuum. Peace should be real. You should be seen carrying out actions, activities that would lead up to sustainable peace.
Thank you very much. The best peace plan is your action.
Exactly.
That is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yes, Charles, what should the plan be, or how should the plan as Dr. Zone has said?
I see the plan at 3 levels. 1, there must be a National Security Council meeting in this country which identifies whether it is an interview or a statement written at the end of the meeting. I don't know what format they are going to use. But the National Security Council of this country must produce a statement that clearly identifies the fact that children are not going to school in the Northwest and Southwest for the past 8 years as the greatest threat to the security of this country. There should be no debate. Let me just remind them.
The permanent secretary talks about this.
Let me just remind them. Let me just remind them.
One of the best
apartheid,
persons,
as bad as it was in South Africa for plus a century, there were schools for blacks and there were schools for white people. As bad as Ku Klux Klan was in the US, there were schools for black people, there were schools for white people. No terrorist organization on planet Earth has ever banned education. Boko Haram said it is Western education they don't need. It means if you are studying in Arabic, it is good. The only country on earth where education has been banned is in Cameroon. So since it is an exceptional issue, we need an exceptional action from the government. Second, we need
exactly as you say, in Sudan, they kept education aside. They didn't in Angola, in Palestine,
Afghanistan.
Even in refugee camps, children go to school. How can we sustain the fact that children are not going to school for the past 8 years?
Yes,
the second issue is that all those who spent time for the past 8 years to tell lies, they should take all their lies and put them in their bags and stop. Finally, I propose to the government, it is an Anglo-Saxon tradition. If your actions are against the interests of the country, against peace, against unity, that is, you fall short of the certificates where you have graduated. All those who brought this chaos, some of them should have their certificates withdrawn from Cameroonian universities. They withdraw the certificates of Mugabe.
Yeah,
you know that,
yes,
right?
I know.
In British universities.
Yes, Honorable, 1 minute.
Yeah.
That's what you have to give us a proposal.
Well, the proposal, I think, the first thing is administration nearer the people. You know, we have some subdivisions that are so large that it's difficult to control with one deal. Government should increase administrative units in the Northwest and Southwest. We need another region in the Northwest. I think you people of Mkambe.
Thank you very much.
You qualify, and I will recommend that if I have the powers to. Other areas need more subdivisions. You come to a place like Widikum subdivision. It has 42 far-off villages. I used to go through and I see what
there is a division in this country with 11 subdivisions. They can equally request for another region.
So when
that is in the far north.
Yes. And then another thing is unity amongst the organized, at least peace structures. You people, we hear about you, but I think we need to come out with an organization where all of us start meeting together and sharing ideas together and see how we can go. It will have some very good positive effects.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Senator, thank you, Doctor. Our time is up. We can only end this program at this point. Northwest Southwest crisis, what is the peace plan? Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the situation on the ground, individual, collective efforts, and how it is working in some places. And the advice is that if you can copy from where it is working and paste in your community and make it work, that is our wish. Our peace is good for all of us. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. It's the community. That's what we made time for on Press Art today. Thank you for watching the program. If you missed out on anything, there will be a rebroadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV, where you are now, and on Wednesday at 9 p.m. on CRTV News. Stay safe. Blessings once again.